In this video, we're diving into magic cards with fun Easter eggs, including hidden details, in-jokes, and references to other cards. The Easter eggs on this list are just some of the many ways that Magic the Gathering engages in conversation with its own history. First up, we have the Eternal Masters version of Wasteland, which looks hauntingly familiar. The broken cityscape aligns with City of Brass from Modern Masters, suggesting we're looking at the same place caught at two very different points in history. The weapon from Sword of the Meek wanders through several card arts. It appears pristine in Tribute Mage, which makes sense given its mana value, but you can also find it shattered in both Krosan Grip and Return to Dust. A once proud blade, repeatedly undone. For a long time, Shivan Dragon was the crown jewel of monsters in Magic, but every icon fades, and eventually even Shivan Dragon lost its mystique. Years later, Grave Betrayal slipped its skeletal remains into the frame, unmistakably evoking the 7th edition dragon. The Eternal Masters printing of Enlightened Tutor pays homage to Idyllic Tutor. The dove from the original art reappears, embossed on the cover of the book, linking one enchantment search effect to another. In Modern Horizons 2, the clue token art comes from the card Hard Evidence, a fun little touch. Roxa Patient Professor is drawing magical symbols on a chalkboard, some of which are the same as the runes found on Muruganda petroglyphs. It makes sense since both cards care about creatures with no abilities. Goblin Archaeologist is seen prodding a pyrite spellbomb with a stick, typical goblin behavior. Speaking of goblins, if you squint at the background of Krenko Mob Boss, you'll spot the goblins from Krenko's command tagging along. Both pieces are by the great Karl Kapinski. Like many cards from the Modern Horizons sets, Collector Ouphe references many cards from the game's past. First of all, it pays tribute to the artifact-hating brown Ouphe, essentially taking that creature's ability to its extreme conclusion. Its effect also riffs on the famous card Nullrod. The connection is made even clearer by Collector Ouphe's flavor text, which is a fun wink to the flavor text of Nullrod. Nullrod's flavor text famously reads, "Gerard, but it doesn't do anything." Hannah, no, it does nothing. While Collector Ouphe's flavor text is a quote from Joyra saying, "He steals power from treasure after treasure, and what does it do for the Ouphe? Nothing." Take Raid Bombardment and Unified Will side by side. Both show the same skirmish from opposing viewpoints, down to the fiery missiles and the gangly goblin's outstretched arm. Matt Cavotta illustrated both pieces, binding them into a single split-scene battle. Corona False Guard dominated the set Scourge, her presence seeping into much more than just one card. She appears front and center on Decree of Silence, while her shadow looms over all the other decrees as well. It later resurfaces again on Memorial to War in Dominaria. Even Decimate in Dominaria Remastered couldn't escape the False Guard's shadow. Voltaic Servant holds a Voltaic key beside a couple of Thran dynamos, a walking callback to some of the game's most iconic artifacts. Planar Chaos was all about shifting the color pie. Enter Sting Scourger, a red creature that bounces foes the way blue creatures like Mana War usually do. Look closely at the art and you'll see the joke driven home. Sting Scourger's weapon carries the squid itself at the tip. Torment leaned hard into black mana, and that obsession bled into its cycle of tainted lands. Each one pairs black with another color, but the real trick is in the art. Each landscape is a warped echo of a basic land from Odyssey. Similarly, in New Phyrexia, a few of the basic lands reference the destruction of Mirrodin's artifact lands. Each one appears ruined or twisted by Phyrexian influence, a reminder of what was lost. Relentless Dead is a nice sequel to Endless Ranks of the Dead, showing the Horde after they have burst through the stained glass. Feldergriff's oddball name is an anagram of Garfield PhD, a playful nod to the game's creator, Richard Garfield. Expropriate is a treasure trove of references. Leovold lounges with loot that includes all 5 Alpha Moxen, relics lifted from other legends of Conspiracy Take the Crown, and even the original art for True Name Nemesis hanging above. Platinum Angel is famous for keeping players alive no matter what, unless of course someone just kills the angel. The flavor came full circle in Dark Steel, when Oxidize showed a Platinum Angel crumbling to green corrosion. RK Post had some fun with Flame Jab. The fiery eruption is painted directly over one of Shadowmoor's swamps. The Ultimate Master's Frantic Search is another feast of hidden references. The mage clutches the Book of Ras. Piles of tomes reveal Grimoire of the Dead and Sarpadian Empire's Volume 7, while the floor is littered with artifacts from Aether Vial to Fabrication Module. It's fitting that the card is named Frantic Search, as that's exactly what the art encourages players to do. The Modern Horizons 2 reprint of Imperial Recruiter winked at seasoned players. Behind the Recruiter lurk the silhouettes of Pestomite and Kikijiki Mirrorbreaker, the infamous duo for infinite combos, both conveniently tutorable by Recruiter. In High Spire Artisan, the elf cradles a tiny construct in her palm. Later, in High Spire Infusion, that same little construct is enlarged by the +3/+3 boost, now dwarfing the elf who once held it. The joke of 9 lives is right in the name, but the art makes it richer. In the heavens above the cat, you'll see the visages of legendary felines, including Kahira the Orphan Guard and Miri, Weatherlight Duelist. The Secret Lair version of Heritage Druid mirrors that 9 lives approach. Its artwork swirls with ghosts of iconic elves, Elvish Piper on one side, a deranged hermit nearby, and more hidden in the full unobscured art. Take a look at Inexorable Blob and you'll notice something just behind the purple blotch. Hanging on the wall is a painting of Ancestral Recall. Goblin Game remains one of the strangest tournament legal spells ever printed, forcing players to hide objects in the real world. Its art adds its own wink. The Goblin conceals several items, one of which appears to be a null brooch. Vidalcan Heretic is hanging out with the Law Scale Coatal, a connection hammered home further by their overlapping flavor text. The 2 cards synergize mechanically, and the art makes them partners visually. Young Pyromancer is clearly a big fan of Chandra. If you zoom in, you can see that there's an image of the Planeswalker's face on his pendant. Both Tree of Redemption and Tree of Perdition show the Hell Vault in the background, intact behind Redemption, shattered behind Perdition. Jesper Ising's Goblin Charbelcher for Eternal Masters is loaded with gags. The Goblin contraption spews out a Black Lotus, fires a Stormcrow, and leaves a discarded Ratchet Bomb on the floor. The Voodoo Doll in Lindy Cheerful Tormentor's hand represents the so-called unluckiest Planeswalker, a poor soul doomed to calamity. First glimpsed across the curse cycle in Commander 2017, the doll suggests Lindy herself is the cause of his endless misfortunes. Flame Wave hides a surfer blazing down its molten crest. The skull inside the wave is easy to spot, but the tiny rider is harder to catch. The saga of Sun Titan stretches across multiple cards. Its heroic debut in M11 is followed by its fiery death in Terminate, but then in Animate Dead, the Titan rises once more. Ridged Kusite carries its own in-joke. Its name is an anagram of Guided Strike, the very spell it quote-unquote casts. When Fate Reforged shifted Tarkia's history, Dragon Lord Silumgar took control of the Sultai. In his Dragons of Tarkia art, he flaunts the corpse of Tassigur, the former ruler, strung across his neck like jewelry. Mastercore once tore up tournaments, and Torment's deep analysis tips its hat to that history. The card's art features a Mastercore's head, while the flavor text calls it out as broken. a meta joke on both its power and its fate. In Make-A-Wish, a child begs for something magical. The sequel comes in Grapple with the Past, where the child has transformed into an Eldrazi monstrosity. Triskaidekaphobia revels in its number. The artwork is crammed with 13 of everything: panels, stones, rivets, utensils, logs, even drops of blood. It's a scavenger hunt, daring players to look for more 13s. Blood Artist is a beloved card, with many appreciating the fact that the artist is painting you, the viewer, but fewer have noticed the body hanging upside down in the left-hand background. It's the source of the blood with which the artist paints. The card Prey Upon debuted in Innistrad with a werewolf attacking an armed villager. By Eldritch Moon, the tables turned. Emrakul's horrors now feasting on the werewolves themselves. Look carefully at Dreamcatcher, and you'll see the faint outline of a sliver hidden in the wisps of smoke. A blink and you'll miss it reference. Nivineral is Larry Niven spelled backward, honoring the sci-fi and fantasy author who popularized the concept of mana in fantasy literature, hugely influencing Richard Garfield. The Masters 25 reprint of Unearth features a Phyrexian negator in the artwork, which makes sense since Unearth can bring back the negator, and both cards debuted in Urza block. Similarly, the creature being destroyed in the art for Abrupt Decay is a Nivix Cyclops. In the art from Urza Saga's Stroke of Genius, you can see the blueprint for Khan Silver Golem pinned to the wall. Finally, Treasure Nabber's art includes many famous mana rocks, like Sol Ring and what appears to be several Moxen. That's it for today's look at Magic Easter eggs. Until next time, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon. Also, let me know in the comments what kinds of videos you'd like to see more of from me.